In this video, we are going to start with creating a metric template. Ignoring I have one already created, we're just going to hit new. Okay, and again, to start our drawing, first time. Okay, so we're going to open up units. We're going to want to set this to decimal, precision. We can leave it at 0 or 0.0. But again, our dimensions are going to kind of dictate how things show up. You don't really need a fraction of a decimal here, but we're going to put it, because we're going to be putting some of our text into 2.5 millimeters. So that'll make sense in a second. Okay, so now we're going to go to our ribbon menu, and we're going to select Annotate along the top, and we'll start with setting the annotative setting for our text. So clicking that bottom right arrow, pop up our text style dialog box, and we will take the annotative that's already there and say new, and we will call this metric annotative standard, or you could call it just metric annotative, up to you. Now we will change the text to Arial, and we will leave this at regular. If you wanted, you could always come back, make a copy later of this text, rename it to metric annotative bold, bold italic, italic, whatever you want. But for this purposes, we're going to just call it regular. Make sure annotative selected off. Paper text height, we want 2.5, a little bit bigger than standard because 2 is pretty small. And the rest of this we can leave, set current, and close. So now our text is set. We'll move on to the ribbon section for dimensions. Clicking the arrow in the bottom right again, pulling up the dimension style manager, clicking on the annotated one that's already there, just to save a little bit of time, and click new. So we're going to call this metric annotative standard. And we're going to start with the annotative style. It's going to be annotative. Click continue. And we'll start with lines. Again, we want to make sure that these are all going to be set by the layer we put them on, so we want them to be by layer. Baseline spacing, set to 2.5. Make sure these are by layer, by layer, by layer, and by layer. Set these to 2.5. Okay, clicking on symbols and arrows. Let's go from close filled to architectural tick. Architectural tick. Leader we'll leave as close filled. And arrow size 2.5. Center marks 2.5. Break size 2.5. We'll leave it at preceding dimension text. Radius jog 45. And linear jog, we will set this to 2.5. Text we'll set to our annotative metric we set up by layer, none for fill. That's all ready to go from the text. Text placement, we want it centered. Centered, centered, left to right. And text alignment for the angled one, we'll align it with the dimension. Okay, so now fit. So we'll leave the first one at best fit. If it can't fit over the dimension line with a leader, and then that's good. We'll move on to primary units. So decimal, already good. Precision, we'll set to 0, just so it's showing millimeters, not fraction of a millimeters. With all those decimal places, it's really not necessary. Drawing in millimeters is very precise as is, so we don't need to round it off. Just leave it at 0. Okay, so something else I forgot to do. We want to go back to text and text alignment. We want it to be aligned with dimension line. We want the text placement to be centered You can have it again inside the line, or you can switch it to above if you like that better. You can also increase this to 2.5 millimeters. And again, you can see the preview how it's going to look. If you want to keep it neat or inside the line, again, you can set that here, or you can have it above. Typically it's above, but really it's fine either way. And then we're going to hit OK, set current, and close. So now the final step we want to make is our multi-leader style. So new, and we want this to be metric, annotative, standard. Start with standard, make it annotative, continue. Okay, so leader format. We want it to be straight. We want it to be by layer, line type by layer, line weight, again, by layer. You want everything managed by your layers. The closed filled, we'll leave that, but we have to increase the arrowhead size to 2.5. And leader break, again, we can increase that to 2.5 as well. Leader structure, we want to increase it to 3. And that's all good. And then content, we want to switch the text to our metric annotative standard. Text color, again, by layer. So leader connection, we want to set middle of text and middle of text and 2.5 millimeters. Hit OK. Set current and close. So now again, we've got our annotative text set, our annotative dimensions set, and our annotative leader line set. Okay, so now we can see we can set the scale, the annotative scale down in the bottom right again. Click this pop-up. Now this is still showing our imperial presets. So let's click on custom and click reset. So you get a couple options here. You can switch to metric scales, imperial scales, or a mixture of both. We're just going to click metric scales. So now when we click on this, you can see there's all the presets for standard metric scales. And again, if you wanted to have a custom scale, you can choose it. Say you wanted 1 to 150. As an example, you can click on custom, add name 1 to 150, and set what those units will be. So it's 1 to 150 drawing units. Hit OK and OK. So now that'll be there in the drop-down list as well. You have your 1 to 150. Okay, and now that you have that ready, just have to remember Control-Shift-S or click on the badge, the AutoCAD badge icon, and go to Save As. Click the little arrow, drawing template, and we'll name this one metric annotative. We'll name this metric annotative standard, and make sure that you save it. Again, if it's a personal computer, you can save it where the rest of your templates are stored. Again, if it's a school computer, then you'll have to save this drawing template to your personal H drive, and then from there you can upload it to your cloud storage, your Google Drive, whichever. But unfortunately, you don't have access to the root file system for the application of the school computers. But again, each of you have the H drive that you could save things to start your new drawings from there. But you'll want to make sure that you have access to this drawing, whether you're working at home, starting a drawing at home. You'll want to make sure it's saved to the cloud or have another copy on a personal computer at home. So we'll hit save, and then you can add description, revision number, or the date when this template was created, just to kind of keep track of how you've revised or updated it. And then click OK, and that's all done.